Oh, that's our favorite plane we're on. Huh. This is gonna be bright.
So we're gonna do like a quick intro. Right, everything will be right on camera. If you don't mind, this is basically just introduce yourself.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be a vape question, is it?
No vape question.
You know how you guys roll. All right. What's up? Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator for the Chargers.
That's how they introduce him as the Chargers offensive coordinator? Okay, look, I've never met Mike McDaniel. I don't know the man.
No, I don't.
But what I have seen of him, I will say this.
What?
I can't think of two better places for him to exist than South Florida and Southern California. That's all I'm saying.
Good luck.
That's all I'm saying.
Good luck.
Like, he's built for that.
Good luck.
Yes. Time now for a little bit of extra love from our Championship Sunday. And how about...
We like to make the point after simple.
Yes.
I will say this, like, let's say 4 years ago, you would have told me that this would be the Super Bowl matchup. I would have taken that
into Super Bowl 60, because look, it was less than 2 years ago when fans and media were throwing dirt on Darnold's career after disappointing stays with the Jets and Panthers, and which was the result of his resolve and perseverance as much as it was his talent. Not only led the Seahawks to their first Super Bowl appearance in 11 years, but also further proved that you are not defined by what happens to you, but rather by how you respond.
Also this, losing to call him a pro.
Auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com for more information. Along with Michelle Smallman, Evan Cohen with you, CC with us after 8 a.m. Eastern time. And yes, it is not fun doing all of those things that Pat Costello in the open there just discussed. As Smalls, good morning to you. As I know Nuno, Miguel Barrera Teixeira, our producer, has been a shoveling machine over the last few days, both in Vegas East, Bristol, Connecticut, at the ESPN headquarters and at his home. And Nuno is not only a producer, you now have a slash. He's a shoveler. Good morning, Smalls.
Good morning. I have so many follow-up questions here. First of all, why is Nuno shoveling at work?
Nuno?
So yesterday, where I was parked at the hotel, my car was buried in. Thankfully, on Friday, I went out and got myself a shovel. Didn't ask where they were. Just found them. But,
Good work.
But yes, so I had a shovel there. And then
Car shovel. Very smart move.
It is.
Huh.
And then when I got home, obviously I ended up having to shovel.
Yeah. It's very good. I'm very impressed because my whole I pride myself, as my wife calls me, on in case of emergency guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the shovel in the car, and I think Nuno is now going to motivate me to get a shovel for the car.
If you couldn't find said shovel at the hardware store or the construction store, whatever you guys call those stores.
The construction store? What's a construction store?
Where you get wood and hammers and nails and screwdrivers.
Yeah, the hardware store.
Hardware store. Is that where you get a shovel, the hardware store?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, gas stations sell them as well.
Okay, so would you be okay asking for help from someone
Me?
there? Yes.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, because that was the whole point of the Open, is the other guys on the show are afraid to ask for help.
I think it's pretty clear, if anybody's listened to the show or watched the show, that it's pretty clear I'm not the manliest of men. So asking for help is a necessity for me.
Okay, good.
No question about that. All right. Good morning to everybody. Patriots are in the Super Bowl. And the news in and around sports in the NFL right now is all about the coaching carousel, because now that some of the key players in this, including Davis Webb with the Broncos, Clint Kubiak, will be able to be interviewed with the Seahawks. There's just all the Rams guys, Nate Scheelhaase, their passing game coordinator, Chris Schuler, their offensive coordinator. They're able to be interviewed without worrying about a game the next day. And so some of the teams with openings are starting to narrow down to what we have. Vegas, Arizona, Cleveland, Buffalo are the teams right now with openings. Baltimore has hired Jesse Minter. Pittsburgh has hired Mike McCarthy. Miami, Jeff Hafley. Atlanta, Kevin Stefanski. The Giants, Sean Harbaugh. Tennessee, Robert Saleh. Those are the hirings that have been made, and we have 4 jobs left. Adam Schefter yesterday, and he's going to join us after 8 a.m. Eastern time today, was on the Pat McAfee show, noon until 3 Eastern on ESPN, and had this to say about the coaching carousel right now.
But I would think that we would have all these head coaching jobs filled this week, probably sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday there are no openings left at this point in time.
Wow. Today is Tuesday. Breaking news.
Yep.
Tomorrow is Wednesday. That means within the next 24 to 48 hours, Adam believes that there's a possibility that Vegas, Arizona, Cleveland, and Buffalo are all filled. Now, let's go into a couple of things here. So far, to my knowledge, based on reporting, Grant Yudinsky, the offensive coordinator of Jacksonville, Mike McDaniel, the now offensive coordinator of the Chargers, former head coach of the Dolphins, and Jesse Minter, the now head coach of the Ravens, former defensive coordinator of the Chargers, have all turned down Browns interviews. So let's start with the Cleveland Browns. Do you believe they're going to screw this all up because nobody seems to want this job?
I'll answer your question with a question.
Okay.
What have the Cleveland Browns done in the past decade plus that would lead me to believe that they will not screw this up?
Okay, so this is my answer to that question then. I think the Browns have screwed this up so much they're going to end up with the right guy. Let me say that again. I think the Browns have screwed this up so much that they're going to end up with the right guy.
Explain.
Okay. I believe, and I've been saying forever, that there is a such thing as a bridge head coach. And we're going to get into this because Ryan Clark, ESPN NFL analyst, believes that someone already hired is that. So we will get into that in a little bit. But I have said for years, there's a such thing as a bridge head coach that no one wants to acknowledge. It's how do we find a guy to coach our team when we know we're not ready to win, and we also aren't going to ruin the guy or the team as a result of the hire, and we are also going to roll the dice and say maybe he could be good. Okay, Nate Scheelhaase, your guy, because he went to Illinois, was your quarterback.
Yep.
Not when you were there, right? Or was... right after you were there, I think. Right after you were there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Kirk Kittner was there when you were there? Who was... Now that I'm
Juice Williams, baby.
Okay, Juice Williams. I wouldn't know that guy if he walked in here. Anyway, so this guy was a former Illinois quarterback. He's 35 years old. He spent a couple of years calling plays for Matt Campbell at Iowa State, and he's been, for the last few years, on the staff of Sean McVay with the Rams. You get that guy. Everyone loves this guy. He could be ruined. And you could ruin him. He could ruin you. Is that fair to anyone? No. The Browns are telling everybody, according to reports, that they want Jim Schwartz to be the defensive coordinator with whoever this young up-and-coming coach is. Well, a lot of these young up-and-coming coaches are saying, well, what the hell's the point of me being a head coach if I can't pick a staff? So I think the Browns are going to end up with the thing that they need, which is a bridge coach. They're not ready for their long-term coach yet. They don't know 100% their quarterback position. They're not stable as a franchise right now because Andrew Berry stays as the general manager when Kevin Stefanski goes the head coach. That taking Jim Schwartz, putting him in a more prominent role is great for him because nobody else is giving him a head coaching job. And it's probably great for them because if they're ready to be a big-time team, and you don't think he's the guy, somebody will then want you, and he'll help you get there. I think they have done it so backwards that they're going to end up with the right guy that they should have had in the first place.
Or you could pass up on someone who could be the next Sean McVay or the next Matt LaFleur or the next Kyle Shanahan, because so many of these guys that have come from the McVay coaching tree have gone on to be very successful coordinators or head coaches in the NFL. And I just worry that what the Browns are doing is that they might go for or end up screwing it up so badly that they land the bridge head coach, and then somebody like a Nate Scheelhaase is going to go on to be very successful elsewhere.
But he would not have been in Cleveland. Haven't we learned it's all about the right QB coach combination? And maybe Shedeur is going to be that guy. Congratulations to him, Pro Bowl, Shedeur Sanders. We will get to that. But the coaches you just mentioned, Sean McVay, walked into Jared Goff and then Matthew Stafford. Oh, by the way, the other guys that he's had to work with, we make it seem like it's so bad. Baker Mayfield for a game. Jimmy G for a few games. It's not like he's working with what the Browns have had over the course of time.
Which is the definition of a carousel.
Matt LaFleur walked into Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love waiting. Yeah. Come on. Kyle Shanahan walked into Jimmy G in his prime, and then they got lucky with Brock Purdy.
Other guys on that tree, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow, not so bad, Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, so is that a fair comp? If Scheelhaase, your guy, is looking at all of these other guys and saying, what did they have that I won't have, the Browns aren't going to be the job. They're not going to miss on the next Sean McVay because they don't have the pieces there for that. See, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, but that then breeds a bigger question that you don't believe in Shedeur and or Dylan Gabriel, and more importantly, you don't believe in Andrew Berry, the guy that they retained to get the quarterback that Nate Scheelhaase would need to be successful.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I did know on all of those other guys that you're mentioning that you're saying, oh, well, if you hire the bridge coach, so to speak, you could potentially miss out on some of these other, coaches. But I don't know that you would miss out because I don't know what you have at the quarterback position. I just know that when I look at the coaching carousel right now, I think a lot of the right coaches have been hired. I just think a lot of the coaches have been hired for the wrong teams. What I mean by that is, why is Mike McCarthy or John Harbaugh not the coach of the Bills? Or Kevin Stefanski? Mm-hmm. Why is Robert Saleh not the coach of the Dolphins? They never hire experienced coaches.
Why is Sean McDermott not the coach of the Dolphins?
Why is Sean McDermott not being interviewed at all? I understand that there's been he wants to take a year off, and maybe this is surprising. Have you heard any singular team be mentioned that they are disappointed that McDermott may not be interested in coaching next year?
It's funny you said that because I went back last night when I was prepping for the show because I was surprised I hadn't heard his name being circulated. And I was like, I swear, right after he was let go, there was reports that he had told his coaching staff and guys in the locker room that he wanted to coach next year, that he intended to coach next year. And I went back and found it. And that's what was coming out in the immediacy of him getting fired by the Bills.
All right, now read off all the interviews he's done.
Exactly.
Now that we're done with that, something's off with that one. Something's weird about that one, I think.
Because as much as I was a fan of Jeff Hafley, I know you were not, and I know what the Dolphins are trying to do in Miami is take a lot of pieces from Green Bay and replicate it down there. Even if you were very sold on Jeff Hafley, if you're John Eric Sullivan, you know how he works, you have a vision for what you want to build in South Beach. When Sean McDermott, who's had way more success, well, Jeff Hafley's never done this at the NFL level as a head coach. When Sean McDermott becomes available, don't you at least kick the tires on that? Don't you at least bring him down and talk to him? I was just a little surprised with that one specifically, that they weren't at least checking out what was going on with Sean McDermott and his availability before they move forward with Hafley.
Yeah, nobody has knocked on the door to our knowledge. Now, maybe that's happened and we are unaware of it. We can ask Adam Schefter after 8 a.m. Eastern time. Again, I believe a lot of the right coaches have been hired. I just think for the wrong teams. Mike McCarthy does not make as much sense, in my opinion, in Pittsburgh as he does Buffalo. Nate Scheelhaase, the guy that's interviewing in Buffalo, or Davis Webb, who's interviewing in Buffalo, or Joe Brady, who's interviewing in Buffalo. All those guys make more sense to me in Pittsburgh. Scheelhaase especially makes a ton of sense in Pittsburgh, right? I think that McCarthy makes a ton of sense for a win-now team in Buffalo. I think, obviously, John Harbaugh makes sense for a win-now team, but because New England's in the Super Bowl, there's pieces in with the Giants that make you feel like, could they be the next New England? Okay, leave that one to the side. I think a lot of the teams are getting these hires, are hiring the right people, but for wrong jobs. Tennessee, Stefanski made so much sense in my mind for Tennessee. I think all of this is fascinating. If it's going to wrap up over the next few days, what you have, again, I think the Browns going about this process wrong, incorrectly, could end up with the correct hire for them right now, which I do believe is actually Jim Schwartz. No one seems to want the Eagles offensive coordinator job, which is weird, considering that job, as you have said, produces head coaches if gone well.
Or are they taking a sneaky smart approach here by bringing in all of these people and gathering all of this information from various organizations about what their offensive approach is and what these candidates would do in order to fix that offense that the Eagles have? And these candidates are now saying that they're stepping away from this because they're aware that the Eagles are going to go in a different direction.
Maybe, but they still have to hire someone.
Yeah.
There still has to be someone that's actually hired there, and obviously that has not happened yet. All right, just getting started. I mentioned the whole concept of a bridge coach. Everyone hears these bridge QB concepts. Is there a such thing as a bridge coach, and has one team already made that hire? We will get to that coming up.